Good day, everybody. Just heading back from the park with the puppies. It's been a minute, I know. Don't mind my hair. Still have to shower and... What's that noise? Still have to shower and shave tonight. Why is it making that noise? There's something in my car making a rattling noise. Anyway, folks, back in the car, doing another quick car video. It's been a long time since I've done one. I apologize for that. The reason being is basically it's been too cold and nasty for me to take the puppies to the park. We only take them on the weekends now, and when we do that in the wife's vehicle. So yeah, I don't really record videos in her car. I got in trouble yesterday from my dad's friend for using the term "the wife." Apparently, it's disrespectful. I was like, well, what should I call her? The ball and chain? The old bag? The missus? Anyway. No, you should say my wife. And I'm like, that's possessive. That sounds like I own her. She's the wife, meaning the one and only. Anyway, that's all a bunch of nonsense. Let's talk about why I'm making a video today. So the things aren't looking too good here in Canada. The Liberal leadership debate was last night. Was it last night or the night before? Anyway, they've had two. They have one in French language, one in English, and yeah, I'm quite concerned. Whoever gets selected as the next Liberal leader automatically moves into the position of Prime Minister. Now, there are a lot of people up in arms about that because Mark Carney was never elected to office. You know, Karina Gould was. So was Chrystia Freeland. There's some other guy called Bayliss. I'm pretty sure he's an MP as well. But yeah, the fact that you got one guy there who's now the favored to be the Liberal leader just automatically slides into the position of Prime Minister without ever being elected to office, well, that immediately provokes a no confidence vote. But the problem is that I would see that the NDP or the Bloc or both will naturally align with the Liberal Party, and if they do that, if we do that, then they could issue an emergency action because, of course, you know, there's these threats of terrorists and threats of annexation from the President of the United States. They'll say, oh, well, no, we can't have an election now. We'll hold it off till 2026. Which means this guy's going to sit in power an entire year, never being elected to office. If they do that, quite frankly, I think they're courting outward rebellion from people. You know, we've already abandoned our democratic system by virtue of passing laws that criminalize speech and taking away as many guns as they possibly can. You know, we're sliding into a dictatorship at this point. Nobody seems to think that's the case because, well, Canada won the hockey game, you know, so hey, things are great, everything's fine. You know, Cobra Kai is back on Netflix, hey, and Canada won the hockey game against the Americans, so we're doing just fine over here in the Great White North. But anyway, let's suppose that Carney's selected. They do have an immediate election in the spring, and Pierre Poilievre becomes Prime Minister. There's now concern that he won't form a majority government. And if he doesn't form a majority government, even if he has the most seats and he's minority, he can't get anything done because the Liberals, the Bloc, and the NDP will just vote against anything he wants to get done. So he could be called Prime Minister in name only. He'd be lame duck, as they call it in the United States. But yeah, who knows? I don't know. Let's hope he gets a majority. But even if he does get a majority, Pierre Poilievre is now talking about how Canada and Canadians are just anybody who comes here. You know, we're not a specific ethnic group. We're not a specific. There's no relation. There's no blood or birthright that makes you Canadian. Anyone can be a Canadian. All you have to do is come here and work. Well, there's plenty of people who are nativists, myself included, who thinks that's bullshit. This country was built by the Irish, the Scottish, the English, and in some cases the French, and you know, a couple of other, you know, European settlers were here, like settlers from European countries like Germans and Ukrainians and that sort of thing. But the point of the matter is, our culture is downstream from those parent cultures. You know, we're a little bit of mix of Irish, English and Scottish and some French. And that's our culture. That's what makes us Canadian. That's not to say that an Indian can't come here, become a naturalized citizen, and then, adopt Canadian values, learn the language, and be Canadian. But that's not what's happening. They're becoming a diaspora in, places like Brampton. They're becoming a ghetto. We've got a ghetto culture here in Canada. It was supposed to be a multicultural, a cultural mosaic. But that's not what, let's face it, multiculturalism doesn't work. It leads to division, not strength. And when people say, oh, diversity is our strength, that old catchphrase, what it really means is division is their strength. Diversity is not our strength. Division is their strength. As long as they can keep us divided and fighting over things like, hey, you're not from Canada, you're from India, you're from Pakistan. You can't call yourself a true Canadian. As long as they keep that in the forefront of the conversation, they'll get away with doing anything. Like Doug Ford, essentially. He's talking about setting funds aside to build an Indian-based health center, like a hospital, right? That's staffed by Indians for people in Canada, primarily in Brampton, who don't speak English or French. They only speak Punjabi. So they want to staff it with people who speak Punjabi. A restaurant, a hospital that is there to primarily serve the Indian community. Well, that's like setting up an enclave of a foreign nation. Speaking of foreign nations, foreign interference. We still don't know which MPs were involved, and they keep blaming what's his name, Pierre Poilievre, for not getting a security clearance. But he's explained it time and time again. As soon as he gets this, he signs this security waiver, he's signing away his ability to speak about the issue. What it is a silence waiver. Anybody can look at the names of the MPs, but they got to keep their mouths shut about it. And the fact that there was an inquiry into it, and it came out, and there was no names given, just shows that the RCMP or whichever, I think it was the RCMP, is involved in this soft coup takeover by the WEF and Chinese communists to turn Canada into a true post-national state, where it's really just an economic zone for anybody to come and work. I mean, this is the problem that Pierre Poilievre's having right now. Everybody thought he'd be a great alternative to Justin Trudeau because he's a nationalist and he cares about Canadians and he thinks about Canada's heritage, and he thinks Canadians deserve better and all this sort of stuff. But then he's calling out Slava Ukraini, just like Justin Trudeau. I mean, he's not promising to give them billions of dollars, but he's essentially doing the same thing. He will stand with Ukraine. Ukraine lost the war, folks. The only thing that's left is for them to surrender. And it sounds like the Zelensky, the puppet coke fiend that is the ostensible leader of Ukraine, is coming to Washington, D.C. the next few days, and he's going to be signing half the mineral rights over to the United States, as requested. And apparently Russia's going to keep all the zones that they've captured, and essentially Ukraine is surrendering without saying the words, "we surrender," which I think is stupid. They should be forced to say, "we surrender." But it is what it is. Trying to allow him to save face to some degree. And I think Zelensky's gonna step down. They're not going to be part of NATO. Apparently, that's not in the cards. But the point is, like Europe, Canadian leaders don't seem to realize that this globalist world order, this neoliberal economic world order, this WEF global community post-nationalist paradigm is done. It's over. Donald Trump, Javier Milei, Viktor Orban, they've ended it, okay? People see now there's another way. People see now they don't want to have their decisions made in Brussels. They want their own leaders to decide what happens to their country. And they want those countries to embrace the natives of that nation, not embrace people from foreign countries, okay? So this notion of Canada first it means nothing. It has nothing to do with what's at issue here. The phrase should be Canadians first, meaning we take care of our own, the people who are here, people who are citizens of Canada, before we take care of anybody else. And that got me thinking about a phenomena we have here in the West, particularly in Canada, I think the US has it too, of something known as a permanent resident. That's somebody who can come to Canada and goes through these loopholes. It's kind of like citizenship, but you don't get all the rights. But essentially you can live here indefinitely as a permanent resident. You can enjoy all... Stop. There she goes. You can enjoy all the benefits without ever becoming a citizen, and I think that's bullshit. We should end that practice immediately. Anyway, back home now. She's not going to let me continue, so y'all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.